Oh my goodness. Seriously, I have to just do it. It's like I can tell myself I don't have to think about things that don't matter.
I was designed to do those things. How the hell does this guy know this about me?
It's impossible to not see.
When Dan read for my sister, she was like, he's psychic. She's like, how does he know that?
Yes.
She's like, it's human design, guys. Like, it's just a testimony of how legit it is.
Seriously, Danny was like FBI or CIA. He's like, how the hell does this guy know this about me?
Having my chart read, there were just thing after thing after thing that I was just like, wow, that's me.
This man is reading me and I've never met him before.
I was in the midst of one of the biggest emotional waves I've ever been in my life, and he saved my life.
It seems like everybody has the same reaction. It's that aha moment, and they want to find out more.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Human Design Advantage podcast. My name is Jen, and decoding the matrix for us is Danny Guru. Hey, Dan.
Jen, it's good to be here. How are you?
I am doing pretty good at the moment. It is Sunday, July 24th. So before we dive into today's episode, I have a announcement that I'd like to share and thank everybody who's been watching our show. We finally hit
How many?
2,500 views.
That's really good.
I know. I am super excited about that. So thank you, everybody who has been viewing our shows. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the channel. Hit those like buttons, share it out. If you know somebody that would love to learn more about human design, share these videos out with them because it's the whole reason we are doing them.
Oh, this is good news, Jen. This feels
good. It's very good news. I was super excited to see that going on or to get that email. I was really that kind of made my day. So thank you, everybody who's been viewing our stuff.
Well, today we have a pretty special treat, sort of. We're going to split this up into two things. First, sort of, what is it that's programming us? What is this transit program that's going on? What, the planets are affecting us, and every year we seem to be going through the same loop over and over again with different planets in the background. And so basically we're always looking at the transits. Where is the sun? Where reflectors follow the moon because the moon transits all the gates every 28 and a half days. And so, but basically what's at the beginning of all this? What is this information thing? Why does it even matter? And every time I start out a reading, I describe what is this energy pouring through from the stars, through the from the stellar background into us, and how the planets the planets are in the way. And as they're in the way, our genome picks up what is really going on. So if you're able to play the video, it describes what's going on in the background such that we even have a transit field in the first place. This transit field, it's like everyone's understanding of a transit is there's a Mercury retrograde where the planets are. There is a conjunction. This is the same thing as it's there. So in human design, we call it a transit. It goes through a gate.
Thank you for explaining that, because I was going to ask.
Yeah.
That way people can, get a visual or make sense of it, because not everybody knows the terminology. I'm still learning some of the terminology.
No,
but that doesn't mean that it doesn't resonate inside of you either, guys, because there's a lot of things that resonate with me. I just don't know what people use to describe it.
Right. And this is common. This is super duper common, Jen. This is the process. And so when we talk about a transit in human design, a transit just means anything that's going on out there, wherever the planets are, whatever's conjunct. It would in human design, if there was a conjunction between Saturn and Jupiter, let's say, that would be something in astrology. But in human design, it just means those two planets are going to be in the same gate at that time. And I guess we could read more into it, because if they're both in the same gate at the same, coming in on the same line and everything, I guess we could read more into that. Hey, this might mean more. And I guess that's where astrology information would come in real handy now that I think of it. conjunctions, retrogrades, things of that nature.
That would be a good conversation to have with Robbie.
Yes, actually, that does sound nice.
I'm going to write that down real quick so I don't forget. That could be a possible show.
Well, keep talking while you're doing that. So we see all of this movement in the heavens, and we very often wonder really what's behind it all. And as we started out in the very beginning, it's this subatomic particle called a neutrino. And when I described it the very first time, it may not be the sexiest thing on the planet to talk about because they're just so small. But if you roll the video, it'll start to go through what the importance of this neutrino is. Roll the first one. It's the longer one. It's a good 3.5 minutes. So
You'll have to tell me.
Nope, picture.
Yeah, I know. Hold on. There's this video.
Nope. That's the supernova one.
This one. Okay.
Not this one. This is about what happened when Ra was getting his message. Yeah, that's the one.
So what are these mysterious?
Can you hear? Hold on.
Barely. Can you? Yeah.
Hold on. Sorry, guys. I'm a little off my game today.
It's all right.
It's okay. Let me fix because I need to share the audio. Okay.
Nice and loud. This is the story of the neutrino.
God. Okay. Play. Is it like Mercury retrograde or something? Because.
So what are these?
Happen right now? I don't know.
Neutrino literally means tiny neutron.
If it looks like we're at the sci-fi headquarters of some league of superheroes, it's because we are. This is Fermilab. For over half a century, this has been the premier particle accelerator facility of the United States. These days, many of the superpowered geniuses of Fermilab are tackling the most particle.
Pause it for a second.
The neutrino. Why? Because
not much unlike the CERN reactor. This building right here.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought I'd throw that out there because everyone's interested in what's going on in CERN. It is plenty of things, and one of the things they do is stuff of this nature. And when we see the importance of the neutrino, people can start to draw other conclusions too.
It's what they are doing at CERN.
Right. Well, there's an importance to the neutrino. We're bathed in it, and our genome reads it. So let this guy keep talking, and let's get a little short educational. What is this neutrino? What's the importance of it?
Okay.
Because this elusive particle may hold powerful secrets, from the unification of the forces of nature to the biggest question of all, why is there something rather than nothing?
Oh, I'm sorry. When you put those words on the top, I try to make it bigger. So I cut.
Mysterious.
When I always see black, I cut everything off.
Neutrino literally means tiny neutral one, right? We think they carry no net electrical charge, and they're really, really small. So we call them neutrinos.
Neutrinos don't like to interact with matter. They fly through almost everything.
The sun itself is generating enough neutrinos to send 60 billion of them through your thumbnail every single second. And you will spend, this is the craziest thing, you will spend your entire life without feeling a single one.
Neutrinos form during nuclear fusion reactions inside the core of stars. Hydrogen atoms collide, fuse into helium, and release photons of light, and neutrinos.
In the core of the sun, nuclear bombs are going off, and all of these nuclear reactions release neutrinos. That's about 10 trillion neutrinos being created every second.
The trillions of neutrinos shoot out of the core and up through 323,000 miles of the sun to the surface.
The neutrino basically doesn't even notice the sun is there. It sails out at very close to the speed of light.
If you imagine a gridlocked highway, the neutrinos would be the motorbikes that are just zooming through the traffic.
The solar neutrinos race towards Earth. Most pass straight through.
All the neutrinos, the trillions upon trillions of neutrinos passing through the Earth every single second, the entire Earth will only interact with one neutrino out of 10 billion.
Because they pass through anything, they're hard to detect.
I consider neutrino physicists to be the ghost hunters of the particle physics realm because we study something so elusive and they're really, really hard to nail down and study.
Hard, but not impossible. While most neutrinos pass through Earth, a few collide with atoms in the planet, and we can detect those collisions. These floods of neutrinos are the key to some of the biggest bangs in the cosmos. And new research suggests that without them, there would be no solar system, no planets, and no us. Neutrinos are one of the smallest particles in the cosmos. However, new research suggests they play a role in some of the universe's biggest events. Exploding stars called supernovas. The deaths of giant stars. But there is a mystery surrounding their explosive ends.
There she goes.
Before you dive in, Tressa was able to pop on, so I wanted to pop her onto the screen.
Sure. Hey, Tressa, how are you?
Hey.
I'm just watching a super cool video about neutrinos. Like, this is great. How are you guys?
Good.
Nice.
Welcome.
Yeah.
We can go full screen for a moment, I guess.
Perfect.
So we'll play the other video in a moment. So the reason I ended at what the supernova was is just because these are all things we know. Stars explode, they're supernova. It floods the universe with, up to 300 times the number of neutrino information pouring through. And if you notice in the video that these neutrinos, they are things, they have mass, they're communicating with us. And while they pour through everything, they create a field. And it's that field that our genome is measuring. That's why when a planet is in the way, or a planet is in a location, it's coloring that field, and our genome picks up that coloring. That's what's going on. That's why the technical video. It's all coming from the stellar background. And when Ra had his experience in 1987, it was at the same time we were being flooded with many, many times more than the normal neutrino field because supernova 1987A had taken place. Supernova 1987A had taken place. And if you roll that second video, it's a much shorter one. That's right off of NASA's website. So I left all the markings up.
So, Danny, can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah.
Now, is it that the neutrinos are filtering from the sun past the planets? Like when we're talking about the planets, we're talking about Jupiter and Mercury and Neptune, right?
Yep.
Or is it that we're getting neutrinos from that planet itself?
No, the planet is coloring it. Planets don't really.
Planet's coloring it. Yeah.
Well, really, two planets in this solar system that produce neutrinos, and it's Jupiter because it's a gas giant and large enough to have a hot enough core to produce some neutrino information. And as of recent, Earth, because humanity got so smart, we figured out how to make our own.
That's sure fun.
But is it safe that we're making our own?
Well,
Are you talking about?
Whole different question, and in some ways, I don't know, but the neutrinos we make here, we are actually programming the cosmos with them. Is it safe to us? Well, our seven-centered beings that rule the planet? No, I would say no, it's not, because we're ruled by monsters and idiots.
And how are we creating them?
Nuclear fission.
Okay, that's what I thought. Because when he was talking about the atomic bomb, I was like, well, what are we putting out there? But you know what? That makes sense because there are people out there that do believe that when that happened, that's when the shift in humanity and Earth actually took place because the it disrupts the universe, the container as a whole. So when we put that out there, it brought things in to say no, we can't get to that level because then you're going to mess the container up.
Right. It's literally, unless we have better leadership and smarter stuff. But when that first nuclear explosion went off, I mean, we were too dumb then. It's too late. That already happened. But when that first one went off, it was like a signal to if there's anything out there watching, it's just picture a spider on the end of strings. A fly drops on this string and suddenly it creates a new neutrino string. And all they have to do is pick up the blip and be like, oh, what these clever little devils do. If anyone's getting in on us, there was the first one of the first things that would have been like in Star Trek when they realized, oh my God, they achieved warp speed,
Yeah. And then the Vulcans come and take control over us for another 100 years. How does that affect us? How does the neutrino stream that we're creating, how does that interact with our holographic matrix, essentially, of our design and personality crystals? Or is it interacting with us in that way?
It's specifically interacting. Yes, Jen?
No, I was scratching my head.
It's specifically interacting is what it's doing. At the time of our birth, our genome is waiting to accept its imprinting, and it accepts it in combination with our birth, our crystals, our consciousness that's filtering it, and this neutrino ocean is pouring through. It's a field of it, and our genome is like, okay, the planets have colored me this way. Differentiate me on my body graph this way specifically, and the crystals of our consciousness, our personality, and our design carry that formatting for us throughout the whole life. And we're still filtering the neutrino ocean. We're always filtering it, but we're filtering it as a fixed definition amongst a sea of difference.
Yeah, and it's because our crystals are also unique. And I've heard you explain it before, like the way that a light reflects off of an individual crystal, it's all going to be different.
Right.
And then we have this duality between our personality and our design and the monopole that holds it all together. And as these neutrino streams are coming in and they're bouncing off and reflecting, and that kind of gives us our uniqueness from one design. No design is really the same. They're all like little snowflakes in the uniqueness of how they filter out this information.
This is exactly right. And this is exactly how it's working. And that's why we're all so uniquely different. Even if we're born at the same place at the same time, two ladies right next to each other giving birth, and it happens to be the same minute and even about the same second. Even though those whose designs are going to be remarkably the same, they're still in two separate moving vehicles that it will become different the second they leave that, nursery. The second they go home. Everything changes because their whole conditioning program is different with one set of parents and a family than with the other.
Yeah.
So it's just, there's nothing that we can actually do about it. Can you quickly roll the second video?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's much shorter. This is just NASA. NASA saying, hey, in 1987, this is what happened. Early in 1987, when Ra was having his experience. No sound. There she goes.
Wow.
This Magellan cloud on the far right, we're going to start to go into. It's about 5,000 light years away or something. And this is an X-ray telescope. That's why black and white more so. It will turn color at the end. There it is. There's the halo ring after a supernova. 1987.
Whoa. Well, and so now, I have so many questions, and I'm sorry, Jennifer, let me know if I'm
No, go ahead.
if I'm taking over, but there's science has proved that there's an infinitesimal mass to a neutrino. Is this correct? Like there's information within a neutrino. Can you can you share with us what you know about the information that is inside of the neutrinos?
Absolutely. So yeah, and thanks for this next picture. Leave that up. So all of these are the stars of our constellations. I don't recognize all the names, and these aren't every single ones, but you can see some of the names are familiar. And all of these stars are producing in their heavy core through the mass and the explosion of their nuclear reactors inside of them. They're producing out these neutrinos, and Tressa, since they are constantly pouring through us, they provide a steady, it's like the bow across a violin. You keep the bow steady, you get a steady tone. And that's the best way to describe what this neutrino field is doing to us. And because it does have mass, as science is starting to figure out, hey, this stuff fills up part of our cosmos. Like, you know, you add up all the neutrino information through all of the universe, and I don't know what the mass that is, but it's heavy. We're surrounded by tiny, heavy stuff. It's the only way to put it. And it's so small, it keeps pouring through. And as it pours through us, guys, we program it and send it back out along its way. We're programming this universe, as I imagine if there are other races, as they would be too. So we're
as
all
above, so below, as within, so without.
See, senorita. So think about it. We're all dealing off of the same deck. The
universe experiencing itself is collecting data through this.
Yes, that is a very poetic way to put it. And so you can see these constellations. We've charted them out. Everyone's seen these pictures of some sort like this. And if you go to the last picture, the next one in line, here they are blown up around a wheel. There's the sun in the center, and you can imagine the Earth is ripping around. There's the Earth's orbit. Actually, there's the months: December, March, June, September, and that little circle in the center, that's the Earth's orbit. And
those are actually the equinoxes and solstice.
Yep, they pick they always pick the gates of the vessel of love to show these things. But here are
they're monumental time periods, especially when it comes to the sun.
Well, that would make sense because in our design body graph, the gates that correspond to these dates on these equinoxes draw the incarnation cross in humanity of the vessel of love.
Yes, I would have to look more into it when it gets into the incarnation cross. But outside of what people, don't know, if they don't know about the incarnation cross, this is the, any type of shamanic culture, Native Americans, witches, covens, anything like that, religious, cities, Chaco Canyon is actually designed that marks these specific time periods. So
for good reason.
Yes, yeah.
Humanity has always been trying to do what the identity demands. Our genetic identity demands we take our love and put it in the right direction. The right direction for our spirit. So we know all this stuff. Humanity is here filtering the consciousness field, trying to, for the universe, orient its love in a direction and get through the rest of this consciousness game and awakening and awareness.
Yeah. Jennifer, sorry, Danny, I didn't mean to cut you off. I love how you bring that up, Jennifer, because it kind of goes back to the astrological part of human design. And I've been really me and Danny actually had a conversation the other day learning more about astrology. And you're right, Jennifer, in so many different spiritual and religious contexts, the astrology, like the precession of the equinox, like this larger picture with the zodiac symbols has really been a constant. And you can even go back into Judaism or Christianity, and they're maybe saying it in a different way, but these 12 symbols of the zodiacs. Oh yeah, there is so much astrological context within Christianity. You should have my astrology guy come on the podcast. Anyway, this is what I've been learning. And so now we're talking about it in relation to this neutrino stream. And it's almost like you can see how the earth is moving in throughout the zodiac symbols. And this is why when somebody is born, I'm a Pisces, let's say. So when somebody's born in the zodiac symbol of Pisces, boom, that neutrino stream is filtered through the way that the planets are in that zodiac symbol. I'm getting that neutrino stream in my unique set of crystals. And then in the human design wheel, it takes that zodiac symbol of Pisces and it cuts it into about 5 or 6 different gates. So for example, my conscious sun sign is in gate 55, which is Pisces. It's a spirit, it's abundance, right? But a Pisces could also have gate 36, which is the gate of crisis, the darkening of the light. All of each zodiac sign has its own specific gates, which is just a way of further filtering that neutrino stream and giving us a really solid, clear archetypal energy in our unique design.
Down to a specificity that then allows us to name it specifically rather than generally.
Yeah, it's really specific. And what I love about that is it literally is the mechanics behind the neutrino stream and the astrological symbols, and it just all fits in so beautifully. And I think I'm at that place where I'm like, oh, I want to go even deeper. I want to go even more into those, like,
let's look at Pisces real quick. So you see the constellation on this picture, that is Pisces. It's down at the bottom of the picture. And so look at that star configuration. It's got a tail, it's got a bunch of stars. It looks like that. Okay, whereas Aries and Aquarius to the right and to the left, they look different. All of them look different. They're different stars, they're different masses. Yes, John?
Well, I was going to say, I mean, I love what Tressa said about that. And to go a step further, when we look even deeper, you'll notice that through the ages, which is 1,000 years, whatever sign you're in, the religious tends to fall within that sign. So Christianity, we were in the age of Pisces, so it was the fisher of men. That's why it's the fish. Aaron, Aries, ram. It's even said that when you go back and look at the Sphinx in Egypt, the Sphinx is a lion. So dating back to the water damage they had, that was built in the age of Leo.
Wow.
So astrology does play within the parts, especially it sets the tone. We are entering into the age of Aries, which is all about mental thinking. It's that's why these gifts are going to be coming online, like being telepathic and things like that, because we are all mind.
And is that in 2027? I thought because we're in Aquarius right now, is that right? Like our global cycle.
We're actually in the very, very beginning stages of it. So we are transitioning out of one age and into another age. And that is, and not only that, but we are also, it's a huge full cycle too, which is called, I believe it's the Kali Yuga. So we've gone through all of these signs. We're starting all over. It's a brand new cycle on the wheel. So it's everything that's new, but that's why you'll start to see that the whatever the next worshiping thing is, it probably won't be so much Christianity. It'll be something new. And Aquarius is based on the humanitarian. They're the change breakers. So we're seeing that play out right now, even in our
with the cross of planning.
Yeah.
Humanitarian fits in with the cross of planning. That's
there
amazing.
you go.
Yeah.
I wonder if the gates in the cross of planning are in the sign of Aquarius, Danny. Like,
I don't know. We could look on a wheel.
Can you tell us what gates that those signs
hold
are
on, they can't be, because the cross of planning is a cross. Each gate will be in each of the 4 different quarters. So
right. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Be.
I'm wondering if one of the suns, though, either the
could be. We're going to bring up the wheel in a moment. So again, look at all these various star figures and imagine their neutrino field can't possibly be the same as any other. They're pouring through differently. And the wisdom of our old astrologers, both Eastern and Western, they somehow intuited this. They intuited what we need, a giant collider mentally to figure out. And you're right, that mental age of knowing stuff, we're now just we're breaking through finally most of the mental knowing barrier. Humanity's really slow. We know so much, and it's all starting to come together into something we can do with ourselves.
Aquarius Aquarius is like it's like the ancient knower. It's like it's at the end of the zodiac. And so it's not like the baby knower, it's not like the infant knower, it's like an older wisdom and an older knower. Is that right, Jen? As we get
Pisces is the end of the zodiac. Aquarius.
Well, right. But Aquarius is the last air sign.
Yes.
Is that right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And so when it comes to like and I'm not good enough at astrology that I know all the signs of the knower head, but it's the knower. Yeah. But it's an intellectual type.
Yes. Well, it's air, it's mental, it's I'm Aquarius rising, so they like deep conversations. It's all of the mind. That's why I keep telling you, Dan, people are going to start picking up on different things. It's very group thinking, doing things as a collective. And they don't take any bullshit either. So, it is all about being serious and I'll have to pull out my astrology book, see what other characteristics.
The conspiracy to awaken, if you think about it, is us trying to get in front of these programming agents. So I don't want to be swept away in humanity anymore as we go through the zodiac wheel each year and come across each of these different things, and the planet is being programmed and we're not aware. We should be aware of that.
Saturn.
Say it again.
Aquarius rules Saturn. It's air. It's a fixed sign. Characteristics are they're humanitarian, modern, independent, freedom-loving, rebellious, visionary, discoverers, compassionate, investigators, social charm, generous, practical, keen eye, genuine, unbiased advice, and optimistic.
Well, we missed the boat on that memo by about 20 of them, but a couple of them we totally are. We are investigators.
Everybody's doing that now.
Yeah, we seek to be the humanitarian. We want it in our hearts. Everyone wants that love to move in that direction. So I totally, and I can see all that stuff. So
Danny, what's going to happen? What's going to happen as we move into this next cycle that you're kind of telling us about? The nodal, what's going to happen?
Oh, that's what we got to talk about next. So if we can go to the wheel, I think the wheel would be next, if it's easily attainable.
Yep.
Okay, so a simple wheel. Again, so let's see, we're in July. So help me here, Tressa. What month will be July? It'll be after the 15th. So it'll be gate Cancer. Oh gosh, coming into gate 55 or so, 62. Yeah. So
we're about to be in Leo. Is that what you're saying?
Yep. So we're moving into let's see, 65. Yeah, so we're moving into these gates at the bottom of the body graph. I'm at the bottom of this wheel.
Are we looking for Leo?
Yeah, which one's Leo?
This Blue. Is not the best picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say
oranges. I want to say
yes.
Pisces is the blue right there, so Pisces is to the left. It's the blue in between the orange and the blue, right? And then which way does the wheel go? The wheel goes down. Aries is the orange. Aries is the orange down right there, and then we go into Taurus, and then we go into Gemini.
Guys, in reality, just to look at this wheel, just to recognize where you see the constellation names around the inside of this wheel, the different colors that show the ram.
Orange is Leo right there. So we're in between 54 and 31, I think. Yep. We're in gate 54 right now. I think.
Okay, cool.
Right here.
So
another way.
So these are the constellations that were and are in the background. And as they pour through each day a person is born anywhere in here, it's one of these gates, one of these lines. Now these lines have names and we can specify them. So we have a bit, and every other planet is equally in an exact location going through a hexagram, and not just a hexagram, but a line of the hexagram. And so we're able to get very specific information as it relates to how to name these things. By now, everyone's realized that I keep naming the various characteristics of the hexagrams and the lines of the hexagrams that are inside of a person's chart. We do it all the time. Every time we talk about all the 6-line monsters that are acting out their hypocritic nature, 6th line of a hexagram is what I'm referring to. You know, when I'm looking at the 2-4 and I'm saying stuff about you know, how they're the hermit and the networker, the 2nd and the 4th line of the hexagram that the planet or the sun or the moon or whatever was in. They're receiving all this information from the stuff behind it and from our sun. These constellations are giving us data, and the sun is giving us data. And when you look at it all coming in the way it's coming in, it's no longer just a neutrino stream. It's a field. It's a field. If I yell loud in a room, there's a field of sound within the whole room. We pour neutrinos out of giant nuclear ovens called stars, and there's trillions and trillions and trillions of them everywhere. We're in a field of neutrino information. It has matter. It has mass. They are made of material. They're atomic in nature. They carry with them information. Science will have to figure out exactly what the vibratory nature of that information is, but our genome has no problem. Our genome's like, hey, dude, I got this. This is that, and that's this. But we don't have an intercom to our genome. Hey, dude, what is that? You know, we can't ask it. So
Right.
it looks up and says, dude, I'm him, her. What are you talking about? You know, anyway, so you look at it, and it's telling us what exactly is the scoop per the line, per the hexagram. And now we can go into the second half of why we're going through all of this information. Just, is there any questions? Does something occur to anyone to say?
I just wanted to add that for everybody who's still a little bit confused on the hexagrams, now you can look in that symbol, like if you're looking at that 56, which is on the lower right hand, in between the blue and the right, in between Cancer and Leo, that's right there.
Okay.
If you come on down out of the circle to the exterior perimeter of the circle, that's the hexagram. And this is the specific hexagram associated with the 56th gate. And you can see how some lines are broken and some lines are, some lines are yin or some lines are yang is what they call them, like solid or broken.
Right.
And so
the solid ones are yin, right?
Yang.
Or yang.
Yang. Solid is
Solid
yang.
ones are yang. Yeah.
And,
And this is also the I Ching, correct?
Yep.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And so it's just really interesting to see how it all kind of sits on top of each other, how the hexagrams of the I Ching, which goes down into our, genetic coding, essentially the 64 codons of our DNA, which is, again, literally what Danny just said. But I also did just want to bring up something I thought that was cool. Hack, if you want to know what hexagram is today, just go to the transits. Look up any transits on any like human design app or human design software. If you look at the current transits right now, 56 is in the sun sign. And so, if you're curious any day as to
what's programming us right
what's
now,
programming us,
it's about stimulation. It's about the stimulating voice. We're currently being programmed by the need to stimulate things and use our imagination and ideas and get our ideas out in the world, made manifest through the throat into articulation and into action, and stimulate the other while we're doing it. 56 says, I need to share. Let me share my stimulating ideas with you. We're in a big fat idea stimulating, sharing mood these past couple of days, and that's what 56 brings us.
Yeah, that's good.
That's
so again, in each line, there's 6 lines to that hexagram, and each line has its own specific denotation. It's marked with its own language. And so when I see your line within a hexagram, and when we read, we call out that line and we say, here you go, here's you, and we start there when we read for somebody, so we can get you nice specific information. about what's the scoop, and then boom, we build out from there. Every planet of all the 13 planets available are marking one of these hexagrams around the wheel at the time of your birth. And again, that field, that stellar field of neutrino information is so rich, it's like a soup. It's so rich, it's like a soup. And the genome, as soon as it's separate from its mother, as soon as there's an inch of daylight, the genome's like, oh, what do we got going on here? Oh, it's a little different over there because of Mars, a little different over there because of Saturn, it's a little different over. Let's take this differentiation into our way. Let's strike this human and mint them like a coin. And here you go. Here's your design. You can count on it.
Whoa, that's been a question of mine for so long. Like, how do they determine time? It's as soon as there's an inch away from the mother. Is it when the head comes out? Is it when the whole body?
And if it's a breach, it would be when the head comes out. If it's not a breach, it'd be when you can see daylight between your mother and your big toe, let's say. Whatever is the last piece of your flesh out of your mother, as soon as there's daylight between them, as soon as you can measure, as soon as you can drop a sliver of paper between the two, that's the moment.
Whoa. Whoa.
That's what the genome knows. As soon as that separation takes place, it's like, oh, here we go. The whole time it's been dealing with mother, and as soon as that electromagnetic separation takes place, the genome says there it is. When science gets a hold of this in their beautiful capacity to measure things, maybe they'll find out it's a half a second later. Maybe they'll find out, I don't know, it's, as far as we know, it's at the moment of separation. But you know how scientists get. Maybe we're off by half a second. Who knows?
Right. Or whoever's keeping track of time, like, you know, because that's always kind of my question is like, how accurate. And I know that for a lot of these, like if you do chart rectifications and you go in and you start messing around and you say, well, if this person is born at this time, well, how about 2 minutes later? How does it change the chart? For a lot of that on the surface chart stuff, it's not going to change very much within a minute or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. It could change everything. But what's your experience when it comes to the accuracy, Danny?
Well, the accuracy of the time is dependent upon who wrote down the time at the time of birth. We only have it to the minute, and I only trust those minutes to within a minute or two.
Okay.
For the most part. So that's why we can't read certain levels below the line easily.
I wondered that too, because at my birth certificate, it's 4:43, and I thought about it. I was like, was that an analog clock or was that a digital clock? And if it was an analog clock, who set the time on that analog clock? Was it correct?
Exactly, Jen. We don't know. So we're going to assume everything within a minute or two because world time has been pretty good for a long time. So we got that nuclear clock in Greenwich, but it could be off by a minute. You just don't know, or two. So,
and I feel like you kind of know. Yeah.
Tressa, we know if something drastic changes. We've done this before. I've done it. I was like, hey, something drastic changed like just a minute later. Are you sure? And we'll find out. No, this person was actually born a few minutes later, even though the birth certificate said one thing. We diagnose. It's like, you're not that. You're not a generator. Can I share?
Yes, can I share a story? I had a hypnotherapy consultation, and I love to look up their human design charts just so that I know what I'm dealing with, right? And I looked up her time, and she said, well, it's either 1:30 a.m. or 1:30 p.m., but I think it's 1:30 a.m. Now, I start talking with this girl, and immediately,
Do we really sound like that?
Well, she's a pure generator. You don't always sound like that, but some pure generators 100% do. And so I'm just like, okay, well, she's obviously a pure generator. Let's look up her chart. Well, 1:30 a.m., which is what she swears she's born as, is a reflector. And I'm sitting here going,
I don't know.
Let's look at your chart at 1:30 p.m. And pure generator, really just resonated with the person. And so then I just started to ask her certain questions that I knew, and everything was so resonant around the pure generator chart, and the things when it comes to the reflector chart was a little bit like, I don't really know about that.
Would you be able to corroborate that later through her birth certificate or her mother?
I have not been able to not, but I told her, and I have a hypnotherapy session with her coming up here in the next few days, and so I was like, look, I don't feel comfortable giving you any information because, you know,
Find
that's
out.
a that's a big but it's interesting because it's like, I mean, now Danny, I guess this is a question for you. Like, do you do that with people when they're unsure? Do you kind of ask them, how do you navigate that
I have to ask them
that time
questions.
thing? You
I
just
have to
ask them
ask them.
questions.
I got to talk to them and ask them questions and start delving in. And if I see something that was striking that did change, I try and call out the change first to see if it hits them or not. Like if they go from emotional to not emotional.
Got it.
That's a big
Okay.
one. If they change a type, that's a big one. Certain other things that you're right, it's hard. Sometimes you just have to go with what you got. Sometimes the arrows help a lot. You know, if it's got a lot of right arrows, then I know that person always has to read the book, 4 and 5 times if they weren't so specifically focused in that moment being called into the book. For instance, all of us here.
Well, I found a trick to that. When I read, I try to find out if there's an audiobook too. So I listen and I read at the same time because it helps me retain the information faster.
And that's actually a better way to do it.
Well, it keeps me on track too, because when I'm reading, I'm thinking about something else at the same time.
What your right mind does. Your reading pulls from your right mind the real stuff that your awareness and your consciousness wants to pour out onto the world. That's what rightness is. Rightness is drawn from. So you start reading a book, the words on the page draw from you. And suddenly you're off, and then you get focused back in, you make it through a sentence or two, and then all of a sudden that sentence or two throws you back out into where right-mindedness
yes,
is.
Yes, that's what it does all the time. I'm like, I'll get through a whole chapter, and I'm like, damn it, I don't know I don't know what I read.
What did I just read? Right. Unless there's those rare moments, those good moments, shall I say. They may not be rare, but those great moments where you're so in tune, it's like, okay, you're in with it. That happens.
But listening to an audiobook at the same time helps me.
That's a brilliant idea.
Ms.
And
Jennifer, go ahead.
I'm so sorry, you guys, but I just noticed the time, and I have I've got to hop off. I've got to hop onto a consultation call. 2 minutes.
Oh, that blows. We're supposed to talk about the we're supposed to talk about the transit. Are you able to pull up a just now chart, Jen? I hate to throw you a curveball.
It's gonna take me a minute.
And I can try to hop back on, Danny, too, if you guys are still going.
We'll be able to get through this.
I've got a session today too, so I'll have to get off by 2:30, Dan.
Okay.
I
put in this date and time, please.
Okay, thank you.
Put in the date and time of 7:30:22. Use your time zone, Jen, so it'll be 2:40.
Oh, the transit.
Okay, what?
8 p.m. 2:48 in the afternoon. So 14:48.
14:48. USA.
If you have to go, Tressa, that's okay.
I know, I do have to go. But I want to hear everything you say about it. And I had forgotten. I jumped on and it was neutrinos, and then my brain went to this, and then I went to that. And I want to hear everything you have to say about it, because you keep saying, that moment something's going to happen. And
text your client to see if you can run 5 or 6 minutes behind if you want.
I had. They're in Greenwich. They're in a different. They're like across the world.
Okay.
And
cool.
so yeah.
No, do the thing. So when you hop off, just hop off. So this date 23 and 43.
Check the channel, Tressa. The replay will be up on that. It should be live.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I gotta go.
It's okay.
Love.
All
Love
right.
you both.
Bye, Tressa.
Thank you. Love you. Okay. Is this okay?
This is the one. We're going to just stay here because all of that information's been pouring through us, and look what's in these nodes, 2343 on the right side.
Right here.
Yep.
Right.
And on the body graph, it's between the ajna and the throat, the green and the brown. That's it. So right now, notice it's black and red. That's because a while ago, it was also there too. So the people being born still have it as design information. But what's transiting us now are the black lines. That's always what's right now.
Right here.
Yep, on the right-hand side. 43 and 23 are in the lines of investigation. That's the first lines do. They investigate. So you can speak all to a first line, Jen. You're the first line queen. And so 43 and 20.
In everything. It's a natural habit.
Well, the nodes are pushing us along our trajectory. It's still genetic. It's inside of us. But what it's doing is it's allowing our geometry to be hooked into the greater movement of everything. We're hooked into the greater movement of all things. And these nodes of the moon, they keep us, consequential to that. And they move us along a trajectory. They help us move along. So like when you run into something, you're like, oh, wow, I was so smart. Well, you may have been smart, but your trajectory assist is what put you there in the first place. And it's like, so we're relatively choiceless on what we do as it relates to, I say relatively, there's a combination. And these things are constantly pushing us. It's not dumb luck that you end up where you are when you're there. Right now, we're moving along our trajectory of needing to explain stuff. That's what 4323 is. It's this channel of structuring. It's in the individual circuitry, which means it needs to empower the others with the structure it just came up with. That structure is born from mental insights, crazy mental noise that has insight after insight after insight after insight. And all it wants to do out of 43 is get to 23 and explain it. The channel of explanation, the channel of structuring, the channel of empowering the other with your unique knowing. This is the one that got the keynote in the book. I have to say, because it's the keynote of the book. It's from genius to freak, or from freak back to genius. So it's from too unique for the other to understand, and so they don't understand you, meaning you couldn't explain it, to your insights were so profound and they made it out in such a way that you could explain it. Right now, everyone is struggling for their explanation to be heard.
Yes.
That's what's going on. Yakety, 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 yak. And we're in the first line of it. So it's like, I've investigated this. That's it. I'm sick of it. It's my investigation that I will be able to structure to an explanation, not yours. That's what's going on right now.
Everyone is building up their own hypothesis.
Right. And
their own belief systems right now.
Right. What we're
that's important, because I even someone posted a meme that I think it was really good, and it went along the lines of it doesn't matter if someone tells you that it is raining or if someone tells you that it's not raining. It's your job as the individual to go figure out if it's raining or not.
That's exactly right.
Not going off what other people say.
Nope, that's exactly right. And so you go outside and you see that it's raining, and okay.
Correct.
Good enough. And so we're supposed to be able to do that without getting mad at each other. So people are going to be taking this ability to explain stuff very personally, because that's what humanity does. That's the old seven-centered way. Hey, it's your fault. It's not mine. What do you mean you're not listening? So let's go over a couple of just key things about this channel. Since it's in the individual circuitry, we've been through circuitry so many times, and the 4 different circuit groups. This is individual, so it wants to empower the other. That's something we can count on. It gets moody and melancholic at times. So for these past several months, until this transit leaves us, people sometimes go into a little funk, mainly around when their explanation couldn't get out and the timing wasn't right, or the other wasn't listening and it wasn't metamorphic to the other. That's what we're trying to do. Our love is moving in the right direction when what we can explain is metamorphically empowering to the other. Oh, I just explained astrology to you and you got it? And you're thanking me? I have metamorphically empowered you. I took the noise in my head, because there's a lot going on. I funneled it through this metamorphic process and I spit it back out into an explanation. And we're all doing that. So if I can't do that, the sadness is I can't explain myself. My insights are rejected. I don't know what, my explanations aren't working. No one's listening. It's a projected channel, meaning it's not a manifestor channel. It's not a generator channel. So another keynote, it's a projector channel. That means it needs to be invited. Who is waiting for their explanations to be invited? Almost no one. Chuckle away, Jen. It is funny. So if this has to be invited and recognized by the other in order for you to actually share it and empower the other with it, and they don't recognize it, you can't speak it. Welcome to a great source of frustration. So we've got desire to empower. We've got frustration over not being recognized. My explanations aren't being recognized. I'm going to talk louder. A lot of people think louder means truer, which is not true. And so there's going to be frustration. 70% of the planet are generators. So all the generators on the planet are experiencing frustration on what they can't explain. And the manifestors are experiencing anger, and the projectors are experiencing bitterness over the non-recognition of what they can explain. And look, it's all heated up in the media. I mean, it's insane. We're at the point in our media right now where I'm surprised pundits and podcasters aren't like literally flipping off the other side alive on TV. This is my story. It's screw you, Joe Rogan, and whatever. And Russell Brand, you guys are whatever. So Fox News or Fox saying that to CNN. Anyways, it's a lot of energy that's projected and needs to be recognized. So there's a lot of frustration, anger, and bitterness behind it. And it's still on. It's a life force in humanity making us talk, discuss things, say stuff uninvited. Try and crack the mystery. All of these things is what's happening, and we're in a first line investigative mode with all of that. That means when this transit leaves the sky, wherever you are, and this is part of the purpose of this episode, is to announce this date and time. I narrowed down the date and time.
Okay.
The date and time is the 29th of this month. It's not the 28th. The 29th. At this time, what was the time of this chart? 2:48 Central Time. Yep, 14:48.
So this is the 30th.
Oh, the 30th. My bad.
What day is it?
So this is correct. So this is July 30th at 2:48 p.m. Central Time.
This is Central.
Yep, 3:48 Eastern.
Okay, yes, 3:48 Eastern.
12:48
2:48 Central, 1:48 Mountain Time, and 12:48 Pacific Standard Time. But
That's
you should be able to witness this anywhere you are on the planet. And can
Anywhere
you
you are
tell
on
them
the
what they're
planet.
going to witness?
Yep, it'll happen to the planet at the same time. We'll all receive this at our respective time where we are on the planet. And so if you would humor us, Jen, and go 1 minute further on that time, hit the edit on it. So notice you've got 2343 is clearly defined with black information. 23:1. Now move 1 minute further.
So 49?
Yep. So 2:49 p.m.
Come on.
There she blows. Look what we got here. The black is gone. It's moved into the Sphinx. All that explanation that we just had is supposed to move the creative direction of humanity. That's what all this chit-chat is supposed to do, Jen. These nodes have moved into gates 2, which is the ultimate receptive, the receptive of the primal life force as a way of making a direction, and gate 1, which is the creative role model, our own individual, unique creative expression. So 4323 is uniquely saying stuff. And as soon as it's done investigating all the stuff it's saying, it's now time to put it to work and move it into a creative direction. That's our path. That's what's supposed to take place. Many people will live this out.
Okay, can you tell people, because we put how they're going to be able to witness it outside of what you just described, can you
Yeah.
tell
we're
people
gonna-
how they can actually witness it so that it
Everyone-
triggers them to go and learn what you just
Yes. So
described?
right now, everyone is filled with the desire and basically this need to empower everything else with what is it they figure they can explain. It's creating a lot of talk. I mean, that's what an active channel between the throat and the ajna does. It creates talk. So right now, everyone's got their own unique talk flying out of their mouth. And if you can find yourself, by the way, the second is 55. So at 2:48 and 55 seconds, literally, Central Time, if you can find yourself out in a crowd somewhere, anywhere, right in the middle of the day, be anywhere and physically plant yourself, watch, pull out your phone, start videotaping 2 minutes before, and just let it roll and watch how humanity disorganizes out of the channel of structuring and reorganizes into the desire to basically spill out their own creative, try to enable their own creative way. What does that mean? It just means watch everyone shut up. Everyone disorganized.
That's one thing I was going to say, but I have a question. How long were we in? We're transiting out. How long were we in the other transit?
About 4.5 months.
Okay.
Long time. We've been here a long time explaining stuff, Jen.
Yes.
Yes, getting bitter about our explanations that we can't put out of us because most of us don't have that definition in us. We have been
experiencing that behind the scenes, myself included.
Yes, most of us don't have that definition. You know, some of us will, many of us will, but most of us don't.
So basically, when this happens, we're going to be able to, we're going to be able to communicate a little bit more better.
And be able to relax back into who we are, because right now we're being imprinted with the neutrino information that's pouring in on us, saying, hey, you are your body graph, but you're also this extra stuff. You're this, we added to you. And so every being waking up is realizing during these months, more and more, they realize at different times that I have this stuff to explain. Now they think that's them. Normally, they have a hard time explaining themselves. But suddenly they think, oh my God, I have acquired a new skill. And when it goes away, some people will be depressed about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's terribly confusing if you don't know how the program is carrying us along, and it's not magic, it's just measurement. And it's this neutrino field that's constantly turning us on and off in different ways, along with our natal imprinting. So yeah, bottom line is that which was vocally busy and even tense, there might even be a lot of tension in the room because everyone wants to explain their unique knowing. Mm-hmm. Whose unique knowing is it, Jen? It's mine. It's not yours. If you and I are on the exact same page, well, that's pretty lucky. It's pretty rare two people are on the exact same page. So someone explains something, someone's got to explain a little hue different of what that explanation was. Oh yeah, well, let me add a little to that explanation. Back and forth. Incredible cacophony and a symphonic nature of the communication going on in a crowd. You will watch it disorganize into something completely different. It'll be a moment in time where you'll be like, oh my God, 55, here it comes, 49, 48, 51. Oh my God, it's happening. You'll watch. And for about that amount of time, it'll all then cycle back up into something new.
We will have to do some lives or something to notice that.
So let's say the date again, because I had it wrong when I was saying it before. It's July 30th.
July 30th at it would be 3:48 Eastern Standard Time, 2:48 Central Standard Time, 1:48 Mountain Time, and 12:48 Pacific Standard Time. If you are not in any of those time zones, please check your time zone. You can go to a time zone converter on Google, take one of those times. It should be able to give it to you in your time zone. I personally, we've been talking about this behind the scenes. I try to go to a place like a restaurant Saturday.
At the middle of the day, you could be out somewhere.
Yeah, Saturday. Well, that's what I was saying. Like on the patio, go to there's markets, the place where people are talking, because you should be able to witness where everyone basically shuts up at once,
Yep.
and then the conversation will start again, and that will be you'll be able to witness the experiment that I keep talking about. The people we keep talking about, entering into the experiment. You'll be able to witness this yourself, and then you can dig deeper and see how this is applying to you.
Yeah, part of the goal of this is so anybody who sees this can finally say, "Oh my God, there is a program running." The guy and the lady and the guy on the YouTube box told me a time. We went out and watched, and oh my God, this took place. Now we should qualify this. There might be a lot of frustration in that room. Maybe people will get angry. Maybe people will noticeably get cold and terse for a moment. I don't quite know. I say everyone will shut up for a second, because when all that organizing principle of insight leaves the body, chances are people are going to shut up, not know what to say next. There'll be a din on the crowd, disorganizing din. But what if someone's right in the middle of something and suddenly they realize they're losing it? They might actually be angry. If they have an emotional wave, the people around them might start to get something. And so you might hear slightly different than just quieting. You might hear a totally different energy. The point being, it'll be one way, and it'll be impossible to miss that it is now a new way. Mostly, I'm going to call that diminution. It's going to be less words, less vocalization for a moment. That's how I see it. But it could be anything. All I know is it'll be one way and then strikingly different the next. You'll feel.
Well, we will definitely continue to talk about this through the week, and I want to definitely be somewhere and film it that way, because I mean, what I've been witnessing in my own world when it comes to my own design and human design, and how it does go with as above, so below, as within, so without.
Yeah.
The heavens are actually influencing us more than what you think. And I'm not talking about, I think where some people may get hung up, especially even with the astrology, is that they're associating that with like cosmopolitan astrology or checking your horoscope in the newspaper, and it has nothing to do with that.
Right.
It's amazing when you can witness something yourself, and that may just be my line one profile investigator, because I like to enter into my own science experiments.
Absolutely. And Jen, you and I both will experience something, because the truth of the matter is, I think you have a gate 48 in your body graph. I forget. I think you do, but no 23, and the same with me. And so we're going to experience this too. Suddenly, this explanatory power is going to turn different for us. So everyone will experience it in their own way. Just get out there and watch it. And we should probably make a few memes about this and encourage people to get out and send your video footage in. Let's document this around the world. Jeet. Let's get a hold of Jeet over in Singapore, I think, right?
Who?
Remember Jeet? You did an interview with her. Jeet from the other side of the planet.
I can't see. What gate did you say for me?
43. Off the head center. I mean, off the ajna, pointing at the throat.
I do.
Yeah, same here. I have gate 43 and no 23. So it's been filling us in, and now it's going to go away, and that's okay. That's the program working, and we keep making more beings. And the program keeps changing, and once we make enough of them, evolution is like, okay, you can evolve now. Do it again. We've been on this for a billion years. Do it again. Evolve. Who knows what will be millions of years from now, Jen?
Something amazing, Dan.
Something amazing, my love. Something amazing indeed. So with that, let's get everybody on board, and please chime in that you'll go out and look at this time and find your time and be one of our reporters and eyes out in the field. We need eyes in the field.
Yes. If you guys are interested in checking this out yourself, we highly encourage it. Make sure you record it, do something, send us the feedback. We want to be able to see it as well. We'll definitely make some more posts about that this week. If you haven't already, go check us out on our social media channels. Make sure that you are following. We'll post it on Facebook, Instagram, and I'm pretty sure we'll be talking more about it on our Wednesday show. Not quite sure who we're going to be doing just yet, but we will get back with you. And if you haven't booked a session with Dan already, make sure you go and do that.
Absolutely. Remember the 55 seconds part. It'll matter.
55 seconds. All right.
All right.
Well, thank you, everybody who tuned in and who's been watching our stuff. Again, we are so grateful for the 2,500 views. And yes, y'all are the only reason we have 2,500 views is because y'all are watching. So from the bottom of our hearts, I know that we are extremely grateful for that.
Very much so. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Y'all have a wonderful Sunday afternoon.
All right. Take it easy, everyone.
Bye.